All right, my name is Jebby Holt, and welcome to my 2024 TED Talk. So first, I want to start with my research question, which is, do socioeconomic disparities exist in sports due to social habits, economic capability, location, time constraints, and familial beliefs? All right, so in order for you guys to get a full grasp of my topic, firstly, I feel like you need the base knowledge of what socioeconomic status is and what social stratification is too. So what it is it's when societies categorize their people in terms of socioeconomic factors such as wealth, income, occupation, race, and gender. And that's what's known as social stratification. And then there's its counterpart, which is socioeconomic status, and that's the measure of a person's economic and sociological, like, whole. I mean that like, it's a measure of their economic and sociological. It's a measure of their work, pretty much. Sorry, and then there's also it's their access to resources. All right. So my main point was that there's unfair opportunity in sports, and this is because low socioeconomic status people who are in that situation, they often experience a lot more factors than that of their counterpart of middle and high. And a lot of times these factors are the ones that can pile up onto each other instead of it's like they feed onto each other kind of, and they all make the other one bigger. So, and then this creates a barrier for people to play sports, specifically those in low socioeconomic status, and it leads people to not even have the opportunity to play, which I feel like is just unfair and not very good. And then I focused on this because there's a lot of benefits that come with participating in sports that I feel like many, if not all, should experience and try out even if they don't like it. And some of these benefits are physical, but it's not only physical, but it's also mental. And it can decrease harmful behaviors like sedentary behaviors, which is just like sitting down and not doing physical activity and being kind of lazy. And it also promotes physical strength. Like it's a fun way of working out pretty much. So it's good to promote to kids, especially because it's something that they can have fun with. And it also is good for building long-lasting relationships too, as well as increasing your social skills and social capability. And that could be with your teammates or even your coaches. Because myself as an example, I talked to my coach. He's coming to my grad party. I'm very cool with him, and I'll probably respect him for the rest of my life. And then it's also good for increasing your motivation and confidence, and it's also good for improving your academic performance, because there's kind of an incentive that if you fail, you can't play. So it's a good way of promoting school to kids too, because you have to pass to play, and you're a student athlete and not just an athlete. That's what my coach says all the time. You have to focus on the student first. You're a student first. And then these are some of the factors that I researched on what's limiting people from participating. And the first one is familial beliefs. And families have different values and views on what's important. And these can differentiate between social status, like where you are on the social ladder. And a fact I have is that participation can be fostered by support and positive motivational beliefs, which is something that not everyone gets, specifically those in low socioeconomic status, because a lot of times they're in a one-parent household or a non-traditional household, so they're kind of not getting the motivation that someone with two parents might. And And this is especially important during the developmental periods of someone's life, because it's very that's a very important part in the adolescent's life, is when they're first getting into this mindset of what's good, what's not good. And this relates to my next one, which is economic income, because if you don't have money, if the family doesn't have money, they might not promote sports to their kids at all. And it's kind of they just can't. It's not something that's on their list of things they need. And then for economic capability, sports can be very expensive, and the more limited a family's budget is, the higher the relative cost of the sport is, which is pretty crazy. If you don't have money, it's pretty much impossible for you to play almost, because you got to take into account things like equipment, location to play, and all these different things that are important to play sports, which some just can't afford or can't get. And then some parents may view sports as unnecessary too, relating back to familial beliefs, and they believe that there are more important things to spend your money on or do. And this is important because paying for sports, sports have become more money focused, I feel like, instead of focusing on having fun and just playing sports. It's more you have to pay for this and pay for that and all this stuff, which I just find to be crazy to me. But at the end of the day, it's what it's turned into. It's kind of a business. And then that leads into also specialization, which is another big issue, because a lot of times people who can afford camps and coaches and can afford tournaments and AAU teams, a lot of times they can do that, and then once the season comes for the high school, they're way more prepared than someone who, say, is in a rougher spot and can't have the ability to pay for all those things. So, and then participating in organized sports with a school, that can also cost money. So for me, it's $200 because I go to a different school, but for the kids at DHS, it's $100, which is still why am I paying that much just to participate in sports? And that just goes into teams and a bunch of coaches. They need funding because they need to buy jerseys and they need to get the equipment they need, and they have all these different things that just cost money. So cost is just a major part of sports, and it's also a major factor of limiting participation. And then I looked into location as well, and this is just people's access to facilities is decreased when they're in lower socioeconomic status, because that relates to income too, because a lot of times people who have less income are in the same neighborhoods as each other, and the access to resources in those neighborhoods is often less than what it is in a higher status neighborhood. And then there's also the issue of safety in location, because a lot of times it's a lot more unsafe in a low, I'll just say ghetto. It's a lot more dangerous there, and there's a lot more things that are distracting and bad for you. It's harmful behaviors. And then sports are just it's like a safe space after school where you could go, instead of going and doing drugs and getting into bad things. It's just a safe place, which is just another benefit too. And then for my last one, I did time constraints, and seeing as those in low socioeconomic status are often this relates to the location too, because they're often not near the facilities you need. They're farther away, so it's a lot more time consuming for them to get from there to there. So it's kind of just a bad, or it's when time comes into play very big here, because it's you need to set aside time to do it, so then they can't really commit to the sport. So it's kind of just they don't have the time. And then this is also due to their prioritization of their family. They put their family first, so if they need to work a job or do something else, help around the house, a lot of times it's something that low SCS people do, so time is another big part. Oh, and then for my solutions, I said some ways to reduce the gap are just some financial ways. It's just financial support, and this can be gained through organizations who get their money from donors or grants from foundations and corporate partnerships. And then just another couple of solutions I came to were also like, this is what I talked with Lori my last time presenting, and it was that they could put some funding on like public parks or like outdoor facilities, just so they have a place to go and play, especially focusing on location with that one, like putting in sports facilities, outdoor facilities in places where there's not really a place to play. And then I also said, well, that was really it, just money. The only real, like, you can't really go at someone's time. Like, if they have to do, I guess another solution for time would probably be like talking with your coach and telling him that it's going to be harder for you to get on time, and so you could still make the commitment, but you have to like go a different way about it, I guess. And then for familial beliefs, that's kind of just like that's kind of a personal thing. Like I said, everyone has a different family and different views, so it's kind of like you can't really control that one. But the stuff you can control is mainly just scholarships. Because I have a specific example with the rec center. I sat down and talked to them about like scholarships that they offer, and he was telling me that they do offer a scholarship, but the thing about scholarships are that it's like only a certain couple people are going to get it, and it's not like it's paying for the whole thing. It's only paying for like half of it, which is still hard to afford for some people. But I just feel like the main solution I've come to find is just getting financial support from organizations. Like even Dick's has a organization that helps fund kids to play sports. So I feel like just finding like companies and stuff like that. All right. And then thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That was it.
All right. Thank you very much, Jebby.